Hello guys, welcome back to Lexalexus. Today we're doing more championship score predictions. We made it to week 30, and as always guys, it's the same procedures. Make sure to leave your score predictions in the comments down below if you guys want to score points on the Lexalexus Football Prediction League. We've got a full set of games this week, and then next week is a weird one. We've got an FA Cup weekend, and we're going to do the predictions actually released in Monday because they're going to spread across the whole week. So bit of a crazy one that we're going to be predicting next week, but it's a normality championship prediction week for this week at least. If you guys like what we see, please smash the like button. It really does help. Let's aim for 50 likes. That'll be absolutely amazing. Please do hit the subscribe button too. It really helps, and please also share the channel too. All three of these things will be massively appreciated. But without any further ado, let's start predicting week 30. We're going to start things off with Blackburn going up against Preston. This was a bit of a fiery game, the last encounter they had against each other, with red cards being dished out, including a controversial one with Beck, of course. So with these sides, I'd say it's Preston that have got the better form going into this game. It's back-to-back wins for them. They've only lost twice in over 12 games now, which is absolutely insane. Blackburn, they themselves are sort of struggling a little bit. They lost last game against Bristol City. Their form has certainly tailed off a little bit. I think it's 3 defeats in a row for them as well, and it does mean they're out of the top 6 currently. Preston picked up a win against Middlesbrough. I would say, though, a little bit fortunate in the way that they got one of their goals at least with some lackluster Middlesbrough defending. But regardless, they managed to make all their opportunities count. And I do think they are the slight favourites in this game because of their form. But with it being at home and a derby, I think I'm leaning towards a draw here for a prediction. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw to start things out. But honestly, either side winning would not be a massive shock to me at all. Next up, we've got Oxford going up against Bristol City. I've been praising both of these sides rather recently with their form. Bristol City picked up a good win against Blackburn. They're currently on 41 points, only 3 points off the top 6 actually. So whilst Bristol, I have been a little bit critical of their inconsistency, because the teams around that portion of the table are also being a bit inconsistent, they are still within the conversation, and a win really makes a big difference, and it was a good timely win against Blackburn for them. Oxford have been on a miracle run. It's unbelievable. They could actually be 2 points behind Bristol City if they can beat them in this game, which is sensational. What a turnaround Gary Rowett is performing with that club. It wasn't the best of results. It was a 0-0 draw with Stoke City. It would have been a big opportunity to make even more ground for the relegation pact, but the form that they've actually managed to pick up has certainly made them really safe, but they cannot be complacent. If they're complacent from now to the end of the season, I still think the points they've accumulated are not going to be enough for survival. With a prediction, I just think Oxford, with how good they have been at home all season, I think it's going to be difficult for Bristol City to get a result. And as I've commented, they have been rather inconsistent, Bristol City, and have not often picked up back-to-back wins. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Oxford, and I'm going to further predict that they're going to carry on with this brilliant run of form that Gary Rowett has got themselves under. What a job he has done since coming into that club. Next is Plymouth and West Brom. Fair play to Plymouth with their last performance. I think a lot of people wrote them off, including myself, but they earned a draw, and actually that is 4 points they've managed to take off Sunderland this season. So that is, you know, no mean feat at all, but that is crazy that a good portion and percentage of their points have come against a side like Sunderland, who are right up near the top of the table. It was a good fighting performance to get that late equaliser as well, that they weren't down and out. They could have easily been, but they maintained a strong mentality to get something. West Brom, I think, are slowly starting to get in the groove of Tony Mowbray returning as West Brom manager. They had a brilliant champagne performance against Portsmouth, scoring 5 goals past them. So they certainly will be feeling very confident in this game. But I've not been too impressed with West Brom's away form, actually. And Plymouth has certainly been stronger at home. So I think this does create a great equaliser here. This is a tough prediction to call for me. If West Brom score early, I think they could win pretty comfortably. But if it stays 0-0 for a while, I think Plymouth will have a big chance to get something. I'm going to go in the favour of West Brom, actually, and go for a 3-1 victory. Reason being is that I think West Brom will start well, get a goal, and ultimately I don't think Plymouth will be able to contain it. So if it ends 0-0 for quite a long period of the game, I could see Plymouth getting something. But personally for me, I think West Brom, with the confidence that they've been showing in their past couple of games, I think will be able to deliver the goods for this encounter. Watford and Norwich is the next game to predict here, and certainly with the results that we've been getting for Norwich especially, we've been seeing the importance of having someone like Josh Sargent in the squad. I mean, what a difference. And Norwich will be scoring 5 goals. Absolutely amazing that they managed to dispatch, I believe it was Swansea, in the way that they did in the end. An unbelievable performance from them. Watford, not quite the same fortune. They lost to Coventry in the end by 2-1. Certainly was a game where they were second best for quite a fair bit of it, and I've been a little bit concerned with Watford's lack of form recently, and even their home games. You know, I was praising with how good their home form has been, but they have been losing a couple of their home games. Cardiff they lost recently, Preston they lost at home recently, so they need to look at this game as an opportunity to bring some points back to Vicarage Road and to ease a little bit of pressure on Tom Cleverley, because certainly some questions were starting to be asked in the past couple of game weeks or so. Norwich are still in the lower mid-table area, but certainly that result against Swansea was a good sign of encouragement. And if you need momentum in the season, now I think it's the best time to get it, as you'll see teams above faltering under pressure trying to get into the playoffs, but teams chasing for the playoffs, they'll have nothing to lose, and they could, you know, snatch it completely last minute. You just never know. Stranger things have happened in the Championship, of course. As a prediction, this is a tough one for me. I'm thinking Norwich, but I'm going to compromise. I'm actually going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think Watford will show improvement, but it's just going to be a question of can Norwich bring that same confidence into this game. Whilst I think they will, I think Watford will be able to manage at least to a draw. But let me know what you think, though, in the comments. Now we've got Derby going up against Sheffield United. It's second bottom going up against second top in the Championship. So right opposite ends of the table. And both with a defeat last week out. And it would have been a bit more of a shock for Sheffield United since they lost at home against Hull City by 3-0. It was certainly a result that I didn't really see coming, but Sheffield United, I felt recently, weren't necessarily performing at their best, and this was sort of a result that had been waiting for, or had been like drafted for them based on their past couple of lackluster performances, and they have been scoring a lot more points on those performances as they have done, which is a sign of champions, to be fair, but they can still pick up points whilst not playing well. But Hull really turned up on the day. They were absolutely spectacular. Derby, they lost a very crucial game against Cardiff City. It has resulted them with Cardiff overtaking them and them themselves falling into the bottom 3 on 27 points. There's now a 2-point gap between them and safety, and if they don't pick up a result here, they do bear the danger, Derby, of now starting to get cut adrift from the rest. And Derby certainly have been praising with their home form, but their form as of late has been really poor. They've got the longest losing streak out of any side. You know, Plymouth have got the longest winless streak, but in terms of losing streak goes, no side has lost 5 games in a row apart from Derby County. So as a prediction, I do think based on the form books, I think it's more likely that Sheffield United will get a result. I'm going to go for a 2-0 away win to Sheffield United. It'll put them back, you know, in a really good position. And considering that all of the top 4 actually dropped points, that defeat for Sheffield United actually didn't hurt their chances of getting promoted. So overall, maybe a bit of a stroke of luck for Sheffield United in that front, but certainly this win is going to help try and cement that top 2 as it stands. We've got 19th place versus 20th place. We've got Hull and Stoke City going head to head now, and this is a crucial game because either one of these sides win, they could potentially find themselves a full 3 points ahead of the bottom three. So this is a very crucial game for both of these sides. Hull, of course, picking up that win against Sheffield United, an unbelievable performance by them, and they are adding to that squad from the transfer market, which is the biggest thing I've been calling out for this Hull City squad. They've looked light on numbers. Now that they're getting their depth improved, they will be just as competitive as ever. And what a job Ruben Sellers has done since joining in and taking over managerial duties for that club. Stoke, they've been drawing a lot, but at this moment of time, with only 1 win in 15, they are in a pretty precarious position. They need to make sure that they're not complacent and they start getting dragged into the relegation battle. And I feel like this is something that's happened to Derby, could very easily happen to Stoke if they do not pick up more wins as soon as possible. I think as a prediction, based on the form, I am slightly more confident with a Hull City side looking like that they could beat most teams, actually. You know, I would have written them up against Sheffield United, but they produced an unbelievable performance, so they'll be full of confidence right now. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Hull, and that should surely give them a really, really good boost to at least secure Championship football for next season. Next up, we've got Leeds going up against Cardiff. So, certainly it was Cardiff that picked up the better result out of the two sides last weekend, beating Derby, another relegation rival, and certainly with their home form taking a really positive turn, they have picked up some really crucial points in their last couple of games. And I've got to give a shout out to Callum Robertson, who's been really clutch actually of getting some really crucial goals for this Cardiff side. Leeds were involved in a really uninspiring 0-0 draw against Burnley. Certainly, I would sympathise for anyone that wanted to book all their time to see that game. It was certainly not the best spectacle, but I don't think it was a terrible result. They've officially cracked 60 points now, and certainly with this game and what they've got coming out, because they've got a pretty tough run in now, I think this game's really, really important just to set the tone, just to give them a bit of breathing space and to almost ask for the other three teams to try and catch up with them, because they're going to be playing against each other really, really soon, where more opportunities for dropped points in the top four will occur. And this is certainly a good opportunity for Leeds to try and pull away a little bit. Their home form has been really, really good though, and I think it's difficult not to back Leeds at Ellen Road. Prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory to Leeds. I do think, based on the fact that they may have wanted to get 3 points against Burnley, I think they will hit back hard and get a good result here. Next up, we've got Millwall versus QPR. Now, I've got to say, it was a very pivotal week for Millwall for the fact they had 2 games within a matter of days. And fair play to Alex Neil. He was looking for his first couple of wins as Millwall manager. There was already a tiny bit of pressure going round, but back-to-back wins and back-to-back away wins and back-to-back clean sheets and back-to-back 1-0 wins, sorry. That is a really, really big statement for Millwall. They're now firmly within that mid-table position. Great results against two sides that are pretty good at home, Luton and Portsmouth respectively. This is going to be a tough one though. QPR, they were absolutely brilliant with their form, but it was halted by Sheffield Wednesday's side, who picked up a 2-0 away victory. A bit of a puzzling result for how good QPR have been. Are the wheels starting to fall off a little bit with QPR's form? This game will certainly be a good test for it, because Millwall are definitely going to be playing a little bit more confidently based on their results. Ivanovic, I mean, with both of the goals in those games, so he's proving to be a very important player in that Millwall side. Predictions, honestly, it's going to be close, and I'm going to compromise therefore with a draw. 1-1 I'm going to go for in that game. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next up, we've got Portsmouth versus Burnley. Now, I can't lie, whilst it was a pivotal weekend for Millwall, it was also a pivotal weekend for Portsmouth. They already did, a decent bit of the work leading up to their games, but back-to-back defeats, a 5-1 defeat to West Brom, and then a 1-0 home defeat against Millwall was certainly a bit of a letdown. They were certainly holding a lot of the ball and had opportunities, but they just could not take them. And it's punishing because it only leaves them 2 points clear of Derby. This was a big opportunity for Portsmouth to be 5 points clear of the relegation zone. They didn't take it, and now they've really got no sort of safety net in terms of any more points that they could get. They've really got to try and play each game as it goes with the rest of the sides and hope that they can outperform the other teams around them in the table. Burnley, I mean, they're defensive shift continues on. That's another game they don't concede a goal. They're still only conceding 9 goals, which is absolutely insane for a club to have that sort of defensive record at this stage. As a prediction, I think Burnley will go back to winning ways here, honestly. Whilst Portsmouth are great at home, it's going to be very tough for them to get a result. I'm going to go for a 2-0 away victory to Burnley, realistically. I think they will pick up a clean sheet, as they have done so efficiently this season, and I think it will be an away win. Next is Sheffield Wednesday versus Luton. Now, Sheffield Wednesday are proving to be a bit competitive in this area of the table. They're 10th at the moment, but they've got 41 points, like Bristol City. What did I say about Bristol City? They're only 3 points behind the playoffs. Maybe Sheffield Wednesday are eyeing for one of those spaces, considering how inconsistent Blackburn and Middlesbrough have been quite recently. They might fancy their chances to try and get into one of those positions. I would be really nervous being a Luton Town fan right now. It's another week in the bottom 3. Matt Bloomfield's still looking for his first win. I think he's still getting used to the squad he's having and slowly but surely implementing some ideas. Luton are certainly going to be an active team in the transfer window to, 1, improve for depth, and 2, to have enough quality to try and survive the season. But right now, they're 3 points off safety. They cannot afford too many of these games where they don't win. And only Plymouth have got a worse away form than Luton Town, and it's been their away form that's been their biggest kryptonite this season. Prediction, I think Sheffield Wednesday will carry on their form. They're looking very confident right now. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Sheffield Wednesday. That will certainly hurt Luton's chances, but for Sheffield Wednesday, it will certainly start getting fans excited as they draw ever closer to the top 6. Next up, we've got Swansea and Coventry, and both of these sides are certainly in different stages of their season. If we start with the positive, Coventry have got their best run of form this season with 3 wins in a row. They could not manage that for any of the entirety of this season until now. It's a brilliant win against Watford, and to get those wins against sides that, are not easy places, with their away win against Millwall, that's a difficult place to get 3 points within the den, and ultimately to still have that consistency is brilliant. And actually, Coventry are now slowly but surely closing the gap on the top 6 as well, so maybe that playoff ambition they had at the start of the season may not be dead just yet. Swansea will be on the negative, certainly one of their worst runs of form so far this season. 4 defeats in 5 games, and they've certainly tailed off, and if they're not careful, Swansea, they could really start sleepwalking into the relegation talk. That is how crazily close that section of the table really is. A bad couple of weeks of results could really start ruining your whole entire season. But as a prediction here, I think Swansea at home have been okay. Coventry on the road, I've not been as convinced as I have seen them under Frank Lampard in their home games. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. I ultimately can't actually make my mind up who I would back. Swansea have certainly got a very strong record against Coventry, but I think with the way that Swansea are struggling for form and Coventry improving their form, I think they'll just share the points this time around. And we finally end it off a cracker of a game. Middlesbrough versus Sunderland. Both been with a bad result last time around. Middlesbrough, of course, losing to Preston. I mentioned a very fortunate goal for Preston's end of view, but with some really lackluster defending. Luke Ayling certainly didn't cover himself in glory, which led to one of Preston's goals. Sunderland, they missed a really big opportunity to close the gap. I did mention in my predictions from last week, Sunderland had a big opportunity playing bottom of the league. Second and third were playing against each other. They could have really had a big opportunity, but they blew it. They only were able to draw against Plymouth, and they were able to match Leeds and Burnley's results, so they made no difference to them closing in on the promotion places. Now, this is going to be a really big test. Middlesbrough, I do think, have been a lot stronger at home than they have been on the road. Sunderland certainly have improved their form just ever so slightly, going through a good unbeaten run, and Middlesbrough are certainly a little bit more patchy with their form, but because of that, and they've had a bad result last time around, it wouldn't surprise me that Middlesbrough have a really good result here. But as a prediction, again, I'm a little bit scared to predict either one of them to get a win, so I'm going to compromise with a 1-1 draw and be absolutely boring and be a wuss, because I cannot call it. I really do think there's pros and cons for both these sides entering this game, and I just think it will even itself out as a draw. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Certainly, I think the toughest game to call this weekend. So there you have it. These are my score predictions for week 30. If you guys enjoyed the video, please smash the like button. It really does help. Please do hit the subscribe button too. It really does help. And please share the channel too. All three of these things are free to do and they really help. So as always, guys, make sure you leave your score predictions in the comments down below. I'm always intrigued to see what sort of predictions you've got for this game. And let me know if your thoughts on the transfer window and how your team is getting on. I'm also interested to know that too. My gosh, work life and study life is very manic at the moment. I'm going to try and make sure week 31 to 35 is out, but no guarantees. It's really quite busy at this moment in time, but just about keeping sane. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. You guys are legendary for joining this video, and as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.